So on a Saturday night, a popular panda, a fighting dolphin, Charlie Brown, and others, along with this pretty face, decided to get together and watch some random animated stuff. Then, Panda Boy dropped the hardest animation juices all over the room, and I couldn't help but enjoy the flavor. Holy crap, this sounded a lot gayer than I thought it would be. Well, we don't see a lot of cartoon shows that go for a more sci-fi experience. I mean, outside of Rick and Morty, we don't really see a lot of this genre get used in a lot of shows these days. But this one? Ooh boy! This show has been the perfect product of how to execute this genre and may potentially become a pioneer. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Blade, and this is my perspective of Final Space Season 1. You know, I'm not really sure why sci-fi isn't used as much in the animation industry. If you look in the past decade, there's only really a handful that you can take notice of in the Western field of animation. It's a shame too, since the whole idea of sci-fi can be just as cool, if not cooler than the fantasy world. The idea of space travel, going up against an army of aliens trying to protect your home planet, even the gadgets, weapons, transportation that can come into play can be an amazing experience to see. Tie that up with a fun cast and a fantastic storyline with it, you will be gifted with the work of true artistry, aka Final Space. Final Space was originally released on TBS in late February this year. It's about a man named Gary Goodspeed, who was in the final stretch of his 5-year sentence in a prison spacecraft called the Galaxy 1. During one of his daily duties, a small, adorable little alien ran into him and he grew attached to the definition of a total bean. Did I mention that this alien is cute? Because he is incredibly cute! He named the little guy Mooncake and brought him back to the ship. But he learned quickly that a force of evil led by the Lord Commander is after Mooncake to open Final Space and bring destruction to the universe. It is up to Gary and his accidentally formed crew to prevent anyone with corrupted plans to capture Mooncake in order to keep the universe safe. Now, of course, this again is one of those storylines that is very common in this genre. However, considering that this is a dramatic comedy, they heavily embrace the cliches that were given to them, and the attention to those details is what makes it work. Every joke they pull out, every major turning point they dish to you happens at the right time. For anyone who is a huge fan of sci-fi, you can appreciate of how they want to embrace the genre while also giving the opportunity to bring the newer friends into it. I myself don't have a lot of experience with this genre, but I do appreciate it for what it is, and Final Space reinforced it for me. The very first scene that introduced the entire series explains everything you're about to experience. Nothing but carnage, Gary floating around in space in critical condition, interfacing with an AI named Hugh to see what options he has to survive, with a few sprinkled jokes here and there. This alone represents the emotion of enjoyment and heartbreak that will be filled throughout the season. Also, the interactions between Gary and Hugh was spot on in this beginning. Then again, when one of the actors is Tom Kenny, you're 95% guaranteed to have great character interaction. Every episode starts off this way. Another cool thing is how they use the number of minutes he has left until he runs out of oxygen. This comes into play for each episode as it's used as a countdown for how many episodes are left before the season is over. This again shows the attention to detail that they have for Final Space. It blows my mind of how to the point they are with these little things, and I can appreciate that. For the jokes overall, they are most certainly A+ material. If you're into these kinds of jokes, especially in the first couple of episodes. In the first episode, it does start off pretty slow and it's only relying on the interaction between Hugh and Gary for most of the episode. While I do love their interactions, it did drag a little bit. But I will argue that the pacing is mainly so we can get to know our main protagonist more and show what to expect from him as a character. While for the second episode, I can understand the turnoff because there are a couple of jokes that are pretty...
Oh my god, it's so warm! Oh, it's wet! Food!
Blech. Even then, I laughed at a lot of the jokes in every episode, and they do set them up wonderfully. so the enjoyment of the jokes that are used in Final Space depends on the viewer themselves. Now for the characters, if I were giving out the Best Cast award, these guys will certainly run away with it. Every single voice actor that portrayed these characters deserve every bit of praise. All the characters were able to grow, and it was easy to relate with the quirks they have and the problems that they were facing. Gary, who starts off as being more naive and childish, turns into a brave leader willing to protect those he loved. Hugh, starting off as an uptight guard to a caring parent. Avocado, starting off as an edgelord, realizing the importance of considering other people's lives. Quinn, learning the importance of trusting others. The list just goes on. Even the background characters are unique and interesting to see when they are interacting with others. The only downside in these is honestly the Lord Commander himself. While he is a decent character and the stakes are high for him to achieve his goal, there really isn't a lot to him that screams interesting. We do learn a little bit more about him later on, but it was more so for the plot than the Lord Commander himself. I hope he does get an opportunity to grow more as a character in the next season, but for now he's pretty meh. On to the music, which, oh my god, this soundtrack is fantastic! Most of the score that is used can be seen as very eerie or soothing depending on the situation. The timing of each piece really makes the scene it's given more impactful for the viewer. It's so hard not to get completely emotional when a huge event occurs that completely changes the entire mood of the series, with such impactful music getting played with no other audio getting mixed in. No one can be prepared for what this music brings. Nobody. So going into the actual animation, once again they knocked it right out of the park. I'm very impressed with how they transitioned between 3D and 2D animation. It doesn't stick out when the changes between the two occur, and that can be very difficult to pull off, especially when it's very action-based. Plus, the design of the atmosphere is incredibly diverse and beautiful to look at. The way they use dark colors to show that eerie feeling surrounding most scenes is great, and the bright color design of the characters to contrast that works very well. While the character designs are fairly simple, the personalities really bring them to life and can really bring you in with the emotions they show. So I think you can probably tell, I'm not recommending this. I'm demanding that you give this show a try. This show to me is something that could easily be the next king of sci-fi for animated cartoons. It's been difficult for me to feel emotionally attached and dedicated for most of the shows that are currently running for the past 5 years. This one crushed that streak and put it in the dirt. This is easily one of the top shows to come out this year for me personally. The action is really badass, all the characters are relatable and unique, and the jokes are very well executed. The show will have a season 2 and it will come out next year. If your service provider is on the current listings for TBS, you can watch season 1 online on their website. So after this video, you better get on watching it. Do it by any means. I'll even put the link in the description below, so you better do it. Thanks for taking the time to see this review. If you would like to see more, click the subscribe and the bell icon to get the latest from me. If you have seen the show and would like to put your take on it, you can do so in the comments section below. Until then, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.